Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most debated topics in nutrition, processed foods versus fresh foods. Now, when most people hear processed food, they immediately think of unhealthy junk, chips, sodas, fast food. But here's the truth, not all processed foods are bad. In fact, some are not only convenient but also just as healthy or sometimes even healthier than fresh options. By the end of this video, you'll know what processed food actually means, the pros and cons of fresh vs processed, situations where processed food is worth buying, and practical tips for making smarter food choices on a budget. Stick around, because the last section will clear up some huge myths that might change the way you shop. 1. What does processed really mean? When we say processed, we often picture candy bars and frozen pizza. But technically, any food that's been altered from its natural state is processed. This includes minimal processing, washing, cutting, freezing, or packaging food, like bag salad, frozen berries, or pre-cut carrots. Moderate processing, foods with added ingredients for flavor or preservation, like canned beans, yogurt, or bread. Highly processed or ultra-processed, packaged snacks, sodas, instant noodles, sugary cereals, and fast food. So not all processing is created equal. There's a big difference between frozen spinach and a frozen pizza. 2. Fresh food benefits. Let's start with fresh foods. Why do nutritionists push them so hard? Nutrient density. Fresh fruits and veggies often have high levels of vitamins and antioxidants. No additives. Fresh produce and meats don't usually come with added sugar, sodium, or preservatives. Flavor and texture. Fresh food often just tastes better, especially if it's local or in season. But here's the downside. Fresh food can spoil quickly, leading to waste. Out-of-season produce can be more expensive and less nutritious if it traveled long distances. Cooking fresh food often takes more time and effort. 3. Processed food benefits. Now let's talk about why processed foods aren't always a villain. Longer shelf life, frozen vegetables, canned beans, or oats last much longer than their fresh counterparts. That means less waste and more savings. Convenience, pre-cut veggies, frozen fruits, and can fish make it easier to eat healthy when life gets busy. Nutrition can be preserved or even enhanced. Frozen vegetables are often flash frozen right after harvest, locking in nutrients. In many cases, they have more vitamins than fresh veggies that have been sitting in transport or on grocery shelf for a week. Fortified foods like milk with vitamin D or cereals with iron can actually help fill nutrient gaps. Budget-friendly, canned, frozen, and packaged foods are usually cheaper per serving than fresh. For people on a tight budget, processed staples make healthy eating more realistic. 4. When processed food is actually worth buying. So here's the big question. When should you choose processed foods over fresh? 1. Frozen fruits and vegetables. Worth buying when fresh is out of season or too expensive. Example, frozen berries in winter are cheaper and often higher in vitamin C than fresh berries shipped across the world. 2. Canned beans and lentils. They are pre-cooked, affordable, high in protein and fiber, and save hours of prep compared to dried beans. Look for low sodium or rinse them to cut the salt. 3. Canned tuna, salmon, or sardines. These are rich in protein and omega-3s, much cheaper than fresh fish, and last for months in the pantry. Just watch for added oils or sauces. 4. Whole grain breads, oats, and pasta. Yes, technically processed, but these are budget-friendly energy sources that keep you full. Choose options with minimal added sugar and more fiber. 5. Greek yogurt. Processed from milk, but an amazing source of protein, probiotics, and calcium. Often cheaper in bulk tubs than fresh dairy alternatives. 6. Nut butters. Peanut or almond butter is processed, but it's packed with healthy fats and protein. Just pick versions with little to no added sugar or hydrogenated oils. 7. Frozen chicken, fish, or veggie patties. These save prep time, often come portioned, and cost less than buying fresh meat. So the takeaway? Processed foods can actually make eating healthy easier and cheaper, as long as you stick to minimally or moderately processed items. When processed foods are not worth it. Of course, not all processed foods are equal. Here's when they're usually not worth it. Sugary drinks and sodas, empty calories, high sugar, no nutrition. Highly processed snacks, chips, cookies, candy, instant ramen. They are cheap up front but cost your health long term. Frozen meals with long ingredient lists, high in sodium, unhealthy fats, and preservatives. If the ingredient list is longer than a novel or full of things you can't pronounce, it's usually a red flag. 6. Smart shopping tips. Here are some practical tips for balancing fresh and processed foods. Shop seasonally. Buy fresh when it's cheap and flavorful, but lean on frozen or canned when prices spike. Check labels. Choose canned or frozen foods with minimal added salt, sugar, or oils. Buy in bulk. Grains, oats, and beans are cheapest in large bags. Mix and match. Combine fresh and processed. For example, make a stir-fry with fresh onions and frozen broccoli, or oatmeal topped with fresh apples and frozen berries. So here's the bottom line. Fresh is fantastic, but processed isn't the enemy. In fact, smartly chosen processed foods, like frozen veggies, canned beans, and whole grain staples, can save you money, reduce waste, and even boost nutrition. The trick is knowing the difference between helpful processing and harmful processing. If you found this video helpful, hit like, subscribe for more budget-friendly health tips, and drop a comment below. What's one processed food you think is actually worth buying? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.